This is one of the most underrated supplements, in my opinion, for sleep, stress, and hormone support. But is it actually we're taking in midlife? That's what we're going to answer today. We're going to be talking about magnesium and how it is going to be used during this time of your life. And you probably heard it already suggested for sleep, stress, muscle tension, constipation, and even hormone support. But I want to break down today what magnesium does in the body, why women in midlife may benefit from it, and what the research actually says about it. So it can look like sleep disruption, anxiety, or having the nervous system that is in that tired and wired state all the time. You can have migraines or chronic headaches, constipation, blood sugar, muscle tension, stress responses like palpitations. If you resonate with any of those, this episode is definitely for you. Let's talk about what magnesium does in the body. Basically, it does a ton. Magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, and it plays a critical role in nervous system regulation, muscle relaxation, blood sugar control, ATP production, that's cellular energy that we've talked about before, and mitochondrial energy production, sleep signaling, which is huge in midlife, bone health. And so when people tell me they're struggling with poor sleep, increased anxiety, headaches, or muscle tightness during perimenopause, magnesium is often one of the first nutrients that I am looking at. Why does this matter in perimenopause, though, or in these early hormonal changes? It's often a time of increased physiological stress. If you think about the times in your life when your hormones have started to change and the symptoms associated with that, you probably can identify those things as the most stressful things going on in your life. I always contribute my stress, elevated stress, definitely when my kids were small and you're in your 30s and things are changing. I mean, that's pretty early for some of those hormones to change, but that is oftentimes when things start to progress in your symptoms, when those stressors really start. And often this is when, especially for women post pregnancy, tend to end up with symptoms that don't seem to be explained by labs. That alone causes more stress. And often a few years down the road, women are diagnosed with some kind of autoimmune condition. All of this is stress, 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 right? We need to deal with this. During our midlife, when estrogen and progesterone fluctuate, this can affect the nervous system, your sleep quality, and your insulin sensitivity. And many women also experience higher cortisol output, and that disrupts the sleep even more, which causes more increased muscle tension. So magnesium helps support the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest side of our nervous system. And that is what we think of in contrast to the fight or flight, which is the sympathetic side. Magnesium is very supportive of that. So sometimes it's not just about the hormones, it's the nervous system trying to keep up with the hormonal shifts. Let's just break down the science here for a second. There was in 2024, there was a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover pilot trial looking at magnesium supplementation in adults with poor sleep quality. This is one of the biggest things people complain about is their sleep quality. So this is why this study kind of piqued my interest. The magnesium group had significant improvements in sleep quality, quality and quantity, mood, sleep duration, deep sleep, and sleep efficiency. And this was as compared with as placebo. And this is from the European Society of Medicine. So that's clinically important because sleep disruption is one of the most common symptoms women report in perimenopause. While magnesium, or any supplement for that matter, is not a magic fix, the evidence supports that it may meaningfully improve your sleep and your recovery. And this is where I see it become especially helpful for women 35, 40, and beyond. When they have trouble falling asleep, when they wake between 2 and 4 a.m., if you have racing thoughts, you can't slow down, you can't shut that mind off to relax, muscle tightness, headaches or migraines, constipation, or just having a higher stress load in general from all different sources. Better sleep changes everything. It improves your cravings, meaning You have less cravings. It improves your cortisol, your insulin sensitivity, and how resilient you feel the next day. But there's so much confusion out there with supplements in general, but there are so many forms of magnesium. We need to understand what are the best forms to consume. For most people, if you're trying to increase your overall body stores of magnesium to help with all the things that we just talked about, it's really important to make sure you're getting magnesium glycinate, or you'll see it as bisglycinate as well. This is really good for, like I said, overall body stores, but for sleep and nervous system support. If you struggle with constipation or sluggish motility, you're going to want to rely on magnesium citrate. If you if you struggle with anxiety and having trouble with cognition and brain fog, your primary concern or your primary form of magnesium is going to be magnesium threonate. This is just a few examples of the main types of magnesium that you might come across, and that will be the most beneficial. And most people can maybe use parts of, certain doses of the different types of magnesium to help their various symptoms if you do struggle with all of them, which is not uncommon. The one that I would caution against using if you're struggling with these symptoms, because that's not going to do much for any of those symptoms, is the magnesium oxide form, which is usually found in products that help to relieve constipation. But it's not very gentle, so that's where I would lean towards the magnesium citrate form to get that process rolling for you. Now, the most common safe dose, you could say, would be 300 to 400 milligrams daily. This is for many women adjusted based on tolerance and medications. This is a place to start, and that's the most consistent with Women's Health Review data. That's a place to start. You can kind of go up or down depending on symptoms and tolerance to it. And that's where you would work with someone who understands magnesium and supplementation for your specific needs. So that's where you want to dial that in a little bit more, is based on your specific needs. Now, if we understand that magnesium is not just a random supplement, it's not necessarily a hormone supplement, but it supports many of the systems that become stressed during perimenopause. That is what is important to take away here. We also need to consider making sure we're eating lots of different plants, because they will have higher levels of magnesium too than processed and ultra processed foods. They're not going to have as much magnesium. And so that's why a lot of people are in this problem of needing some supplementation. It's best to always support any supplementation with foods that are high in magnesium as well. The goal isn't to fix your hormones with a magnesium supplement. That's not how that will work, but it's to support the other processes underlying. So supporting your sleep, your recovery, your nervous system regulation, and even blood sugar, so that you can function better through this transition of midlife. And this is exactly what we deal with inside the Total Health Reset program. We focus on those foundations first: blood sugar, stress physiology, sleep, and nutrient repletion. And this is where magnesium comes into play. This is a piece of the puzzle. If you know someone, like I mentioned in the beginning, that struggles with some of these things, share this episode with them. Make sure they get this information. And I will put a link to the best magnesium supplement that I use with my people in the show notes. So hopefully that will help you out as a place to start. All right, have a good day, and we'll be back with more information on other supplements in this series.